This is a railroad car, only specially decorated, what we call a VIP design. It's hard to find a person who hasn't used railway transport, at least a commuter train or tram. But few have seen a similar interior, and even fewer people can afford traveling in such one. So it turns out that all trains can be divided into ordinary ones and unusual ones. The latter are what we are going to tell you about today. There is even a shower here. This is one of the most widely spread types of transport. The total length of railways only in our country exceeds the circumference of the equator. But once you see such a train, you are bound to have questions. What is it? Or why has such a train been constructed? Or it looks like an armored train, but maybe it's not. Unusual trains, all conceivable and incredible models in a new episode of the program Experiments. What do you think? Which transport is safer, road or railway? Of course, it is much safer to travel by train than by car. But why? In many aspects, safety depends on the state of rails, and these are repaired, and what is more important, checked quite often. Although rails are made from extra strong carbon steel, they, like any material, are subject to erosion and cracking. The damage is not always visible. A crack can be formed inside a rail. So, how are they checked? This is a rail spotter, a machine which controls rail condition. And for this, it turns from a road vehicle into a rail transport in such an unsophisticated way. It was a road car and became, well, a sort of rail trolley. Ready to depart. The operating speed is 25 kilometers per hour. We don't need a steering wheel here. We just have to control the speed. If you move faster than 25 kilometers per hour, there is a chance to leave defects unnoticed. But how are they detected? Using ultrasound. At first, an acoustic contact is created between the rail and the sensor. For this, a rail is showered with water in summer, and in winter, it is showered with a mixture of alcohol and water. Then a generator sends a short ultrasonic pulse into the metal. If there are no defects, it will be fully reflected with a certain lag. If a crack has appeared, the sensors will detect something like a split signal. It's echo. By the way, the sensors are installed on the machine in different ways, so cracks can also be detected at different angles. This rail vehicle has made the work of railway workers much simpler, because it's much easier to ride on it than to walk along the railways with a trolley loaded with equipment. There were rail spotter trolleys. Well, there still are, but more state-of-the-art. An operator walks along the railway, headphones, so he can hear a sound characteristics of defects, if they are present, and all on foot. Correspondingly, we can do more work in a shorter time. A very topical desire to take a shower. How do you do it on a train? Is it possible in principle? Let's say both yes and no. So, we are in the staff car, and indeed, here it is, a shower. Yes, a shower cabin, which in principle is intended for the train team. Since the run is long, the attendants should always be clean and tidy. So this is not for passengers. This is not for passengers. VIP cars have shower cabins where passengers can take a shower. Indeed, sleeping cars and deluxe cars are real hotels on wheels. Heated floors, a shower, Wi-Fi, TV. Well, and what if you have to travel in a usual closed compartment or open compartment car? You can arrange it with the attendant. It may not work, but it's worth trying. We will come back to train life hacks. Meanwhile, yes, sparks are flying from under the car. But this is not an accident, and it isn't an emergency. The rails are just being ground. Rails are subjected to huge loads. A sort of, waves are formed on them over time. They cause an increase in vibrations, which is dangerous for the entire railroad and for cars. Trains are not recommended to be run on new, freshly laid rails. We remember that rails are made from carbon steel, so a layer of soft metal is formed on their surface immediately after manufacturing, and it is desirable that this layer be removed. That's why the RSHP 48K is needed. Speaking plainly, a rail grinder. The speed does not exceed 40. The route within the visible range is prepared correctly. The switches are to the route. The train is very heavy. Just 4 cars, but their total weight is over 300 tons. And they do an almost precision work. They take off, that is, grind off, not millimeters. No, just 1/5 of a millimeter of the rail's top layer. The rail grinding process is like taking off the top layer of an asphalt road. The result is smooth railways, and the tiniest cracks are simply cut off. The first of the 4 cars is tractive. The rest have grinding trolleys mounted on them, and the trolleys carry grinding heads. By the way, their task is not just to take off the top steel layer, but to machine the rails at a certain angle. Roughly speaking, to retain its profile. If, say, we have a strongly depressed rail on the way, yes, then the main pressure is applied to larger block inclination angles to remove the depression. Rails are ground with a hard abrasive material. No wonder sparks fly. Of course, special curtains protect the surrounding objects, but there always is a supply of water on the train in case of fire. And by the way, speaking about fires, there are real fire trains in the world of unusual railway transport, but we will speak of them later. We have already seen a modern rail spotter and a rail grinder. We have learned a few tricks for frequent train travelers. And waiting next is another extremely unusual train, a fire train. What differs a fire train from a fire truck? Firstly, a fire truck takes 2 tons of water, while a fire train takes around 140 tons. 2 cisterns. Besides that, it carries along 6 tons of foam agent. More differences. A fire truck hose is 20 meters, while that of a fire train is up to 2 kilometers. It is a whole fire station on wheels. Here is a shower, a compartment for rest, and a kitchen here. Such a train can operate in an autonomous mode for several days running. As the summer of 2010 showed, some fire trains worked for 10 to 14 days without returning to the station location. Yeah, we changed duty guards, resupplied fire extinguishing materials. Oil products burn in a special tank. Water is a useless extinguisher. Deployment takes a few seconds. They connect hoses to the foam agent tanks and turn on the unit. As you can easily guess, the fire train responds whenever there is a fire on railways or next to them. It may be another train, station buildings, or even forest fires. This is an armored train, one of the symbols of World War I, and in our country, also a symbol of the Civil War of the early last century. These machines still look intimidating, though they are considered outdated hardware and are hardly used in the modern military complex. What is an armored train? Its cars are clad in steel sheets. Armored trains could be weaponless, just well protected against arms fire. But generally, manufactured trains could engage in combat. That is, their platforms carried cannons, machine guns, or anti-aircraft weapon systems. Over 100 armored trains were manufactured only in our country. Their main advantage at the same time was their main disadvantage. Armored trains could carry powerful weapons and quickly move along the railways. But once the railways were destroyed, they were fully disabled. While the name armored train is still known, few know that they have younger brothers. This is called a motorized armored car, and this is its difference from an armored train: autonomy. Of course, it can be part of an armed rolling stock, but it can also act absolutely independently. A motorized armored car is a miniature armored train. It carries weapon protection and an engine to move the machine, all on the same platform. Its main feature is that moving fast along railways, it could rapidly change its stationing location and arrive at the destination in a shorter time than was characteristic of infantry or even tanks. In total, there were 2 units of motorized armored cars built. Both of them commenced their service in 1937. Formally, these vehicles were part of the armored train battalions, but they could and did act independently. Both motorized armored cars actively fought during the entire Great Patriotic War and served through it end to end. Then the first vehicle was sent to a warehouse and disposed of in the 1960s. The second one survived until our days as a museum exhibit. It is well preserved. Everything is authentic. Its armor still bears the traces of projectile fragments. And what was the vehicle's ammunition? It can be divided into 3 groups. The main weaponry is 376mm tank guns. Auxiliary weapons are mainly Maxim machine guns and anti-aircraft guns. There are anti-aircraft gun doors on the roof? Absolutely correct. Here they are. And how did they work? When there was a hazard of the company's air raid, then upon the command incoming, both door covers were flipped off to both sides. That is, like so. The anti-aircraft unit was given a certain elevation angle, and aimed fire was started on the enemy aircrafts. Was the car protected from air attacks? Yes, by the way, with its own anti-aircraft guns. The car armor is rolled steel sheets. They are 16 millimeters thick and have a 10-degree inclination. The vehicle was able to speed up to 120 kilometers per hour. and was highly maneuverable and almost silent compared to armored trains. Well, and what has been preserved of the inside? Let's see. The largest compartment immediately at the entrance is the main combat compartment. On the left, we can see the fire and movement control post. The commander and engineer were located there. The radio cabin is a bit lower. On this side, there is turret number 1, and there, a bit further, is turret number 1. Being here, in this cramped space, it is hard to believe that the team of the motorized armored car, including the service team, consisted of 40 persons. The commander's place. I'm sitting on the engineer's place. And right here is the control gear. There was a 5-step reduction box. And this lever here is onward movement and backward movement. Reverse. Railway transport sometimes seems to be a whole world because it is not limited to passenger trains familiar to sight. All these specialized vehicles, sometimes existing in one copy, are capable of surprising even someone who knows machinery. And this is the special romanticism of railways. That's why, maybe, one can say about this type of transport that it still retains its unusualness.